All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the live stream. I know, I'm very, very late on this one, and um, I ran everything. I had everything up and I had everything running, and sometimes technology just doesn't work with you. But hey, we made it here anyway. I do want to say thank you so much for being here and for joining me on this live stream. Again, I appreciate your patience. Sometimes I don't know what YouTube has against me, what I've done to YouTube, and what my laptop has against me because I ran the same couple things 3, 4 times, didn't work, and I had to run it a fifth time. But now we're here. It's 2:11 p.m. here on a Monday morning, a Monday after NFL football on Sunday. So we know it means we got a busy, jam-packed episode. I want to say thank you for all of you who are tuning in. And again, I do appreciate your patience, and I do appreciate you once again for sticking with me and enduring all of this as I go through it. Again, this is just my second time live streaming for myself and with this laptop and with the devices I do have present with me. It's my second time doing this, so I do appreciate y'all's patience. But man, oh man, did the sports world ever get so busy over this weekend. That's what December is, right? December is made for that moment where the sports world, especially when you talk about football, it's always big. As you round out towards the playoffs, when you talk football, we talk about Christmas games. Those Christmas games are some of the biggest games that you'll ever see, and those are some of the best games of the year. So that's always a big thing to watch out for as well. And then we also have a bunch of cricket to walk into. The Ashes start up as well. So we got all this to unfold, all this to unpack. So again, as we're going throughout this live stream, you can always drop something in the chat box if you want me to talk about it, or if you just want to say hi or say something, just always feel free to do that. And before we jump into it, I want to let you know that if you want to hear these podcasts on Spotify and get them on the go, you can go to Aaman Patel Sports News. You can follow me on Instagram so you can constant updates about these lives and the podcasts and videos I make. Also, Aaman Patel Sports News. And for those of you listening on the Spotify, you can also catch these on YouTube live at Aaman Patel Sports News as well. It's all here and it's all at the same username. So it's nice and easy, straightforward for you guys to go and find it. All right, so let's jump straight into it. And since I got the football in my hand, I feel a little bit like Pat McAfee on his live streams. Since we have the football in our hands and since we're coming off Sunday, it's football day. Well, I guess we'll start out in the NFL. And first thing off, I like to do this a little bit. I like to toot my own horn. How about the Seahawks? They get a win. So I guess they aren't really done. It's not time to throw in the towel. I know it's a San Francisco team that hasn't been playing the best football, but it's always a division rival, and a division rival is always very tough to play. They are built to beat you. But the Seahawks won, and can I tell you what one of the biggest things was? They were finally able to run the ball. How about that? They were able to run the ball, and Russ was so efficient. He was 20 of 25, 252 yards, couple touchdowns and an INT. Just bang, bang, bang. He was able to really throw the ball around, move it around, and it isn't magic. It's just an offense, and an offense that functions. Personally, I don't think you can have an offense where you're just throwing the ball all the time, and I don't think you have an offense where you just run the ball all the time. You need a mixture of both, or I think that's a common sentiment when you talk about a football offense. And when the defense only has to play pass, it becomes very easy to rush the quarterback. Right? That's the great thing about run the football is you put these pass rushers, especially when you talk about San Francisco and the Nick Bosa's and company of the world, and the teams that you've played so far, those pass rushers, when you talk about putting them on the back foot just for a second where they have to anticipate, is it going to be a run? Of the play action, are they going to run it because they are effectively running the football? Well, that makes them rethink their pass rushing, and that gives you that extra half second that if you give Russell Wilson, he can make a play out of. And that's what he got on Sunday, and that's why they were able to win. They didn't run it incredibly well either. It's not like Rashad Petty came in and blew it up running the football. No, he had 3.5 yards a carry. But dude, that was enough for them to just have that half second of time for Russell Wilson to distribute the football, and that's all you need. Again, Russ is still, I would argue, a top 5 guy at the quarterback position. He's still a top 5 guy at the quarterback position. I still think the head coach knows what he's doing. I think Pete Carroll knows what he's doing. And this offense can still be very effective and very good. They just have to be able to get balanced. They were missing Chris Carson for a while to get Rashad Penny back in there. They signed Adrian Peterson. Don't think he's going to make a huge impact before he retires. It's a big deal for these guys to get the run game going because it just takes that pressure off of Russell Wilson and allows you to be a little bit more free-flowing in your offense because you aren't afraid to call the run, and when you call the pass, the team isn't just ready for it, right? They are, okay, do we have to play for the run? The play action pass opens up, and that opens up so much. Linebackers bite, creates holes around the field for guys like DK Metcalf, for Tyler Lockett, and now you saw Tyler Lockett had a huge game. That's exactly why. Because of the fact that you were able to run the football with Rashad Penny. Again, didn't run it like Derrick Henry, but you ran it just enough where the San Francisco 49ers have to respect it, and that just opens things up for Russell Wilson. All right, well, for the Seattle Seahawks, right, they get the win, and a lot of people were questioning whether, my decision of saying, I don't think it's really over. This is what I was saying. If we jump to the Philadelphia Eagles now, another bird team in the NFC, well, they were without their starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts, not available due to an injury. So Gardner Minshew going to get the start. Remember, they traded for him when the Jacksonville Jaguars had drafted Trevor Lawrence to basically be the starter after the minicamp. Then you see them trade for Gardner Minshew. So Gardner Minshew gets his first start. And Minshew Mania, it's real, man. 20 of 25, 250 yards, and then 2 touchdowns. On the first 2 drives, they scored 2 touchdowns. The offense was moving. Gardner Minshew looked really, really good. And so I think it's warranted, this question, right? I think you have to ask this question is, they asked Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew? And I think it's a warranted question. I like Gardner Minshew a lot, and I know I got an ECU Pirate right there on my wall. I know you can't see it, but it's right. I'm staring at it right now. And I know that gives me some bias, but I thought Minshew was very good in Jacksonville. I think he's proven to be more than capable starting quarterback in the NFL. At least he can run an offense. We know that. So I thought, I like the question. Nick Sirianni didn't want to hear it. He said Jalen Hurts is our guy if he's healthy. So that gets me thinking, okay, the Eagles aren't going to go with Gardner Minshew. But what's stopping other teams from going with him? What's stopping the Saints, the Steelers, the Cleveland Browns? What's stopping those teams, Denver, from giving up a 3rd-round pick and picking up Gardner Minshew? Those teams are talented enough to be in the playoffs and be a team that can give some problems for other teams, but they're just let down by the quarterback position. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the defense. They have good weapons. Najee Harris is a beast in the back, and the offensive line hasn't played poorly, but Big Ben, it's his last year. They got no plan for their future. They thought, we drafted Mason Rudolph. We've seen he's not the answer. Dwayne Haskins, your answer. You signed him. Doesn't seem like he's going to be the answer either. Gardner Minshew, a 3rd-round pick there. Feels good to me. At least I get a capable starting quarterback. What about a team like New Orleans? Right? We know something about New Orleans. We know they have a great offensive scheme with good weapons, with a good defense that can challenge. We've seen them compete in games. We know they're competitive. They're missing the quarterback piece. I don't know if Jameis is the answer. They would know better than me. I don't know about Jameis Winston. He's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So I have no idea where Jameis Winston goes with this. But I do know Taysom Hill is not the answer. 4 interceptions in the game he started on Thanksgiving. I know he's not the answer. I know Trevor Siemian is not the answer. Why not try Gardner Minshew? Again, it's how you feel about Jameis Winston, but why not Gardner Minshew? Why not Gardner Minshew? What about the Denver Broncos? Teddy Bridgewater, he's a good quarterback, but he's a bridge quarterback. It isn't a name. It's in his name. Bridgewater, he's a bridge quarterback. He's the guy you get when, okay, we're going from one guy, we need someone to come in for a year, and then we want the next guy. Why not trade for Gardner Minshew? Why not trade for a guy who's efficient, who gets the ball out, who understands an offense, ran a good offense in Jacksonville? If you give him the running game behind him, the offensive line in front of him, with 3 good receivers around him, what's stopping you from making that trade? We know Teddy Bridgewater is not your future, and we know Drew Lock is not in the conversation. He's out of there. I know. I thought he would start to come along. He didn't. He's done. That ship has sailed. But Minshew Mania is sitting there. If you're the Cleveland Browns and you're not sold on Baker Mayfield, you don't want to give him the big contract extension, but you don't want to just go back to being 0-16. Why not trade 3rd-round pick for Gardner Minshew? Why not go get Gardner Minshew? Bring him in. Be a backup. If you don't think Baker's going to be productive enough, then you can start him. These good teams who are just like a quarterback away, Gardner Minshew can be the answer. I'm not saying you win a Super Bowl with Gardner Minshew, but it's on the table. I think he's good enough. You saw with Jacksonville, he was competing in every game he played with Jacksonville. He was good in Jacksonville. He looked good in Philly. He brings a kind of energy that not a lot of other quarterbacks can bring. I like it. I think Gardner Minshew, the ECU man, the Washington man, whatever you want to call him, I think he can be a very good quarterback. I know he's got the bandana, and Terry Bradshaw says he's got head problems like him. This kid can play quarterback. That's a fact we know. We've seen it. Now, if you go to a talented roster with a good coach and a good scheme, what's to stop you? And I'm not saying these teams are moving off of anybody for them. Cleveland would be the only thing that would be moving off. But if you're a team that has no options, this is a great option to go find. So if you're asking me who I think the Saints, the Broncos, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cleveland Browns should be looking at, it's Gardner Minshew. Because he's a guy that can win you games, and we've seen him play quarterback in the NFL. Well, the team we didn't know if they played in the NFL, well, we knew they played in the NFL. We didn't know if they could win in the NFL. The Detroit Lions. Can we get a clap? Let's get a clap. Clap it up, Lions fans. We got to clap it up for the Lions fans. Because why? They get a win. They saved themselves from becoming the first winless team in the history of the 17-game season, as well as from becoming the first team to get eliminated from the playoffs. That title belongs to the Texans, now the first team to get eliminated from the playoffs. So the Detroit Lions get a win. And honestly, the Lions I could care less about. But it's the fan base, right? If you're a Lions fan, there is Cleveland, Detroit. Those two fan bases are probably two of the most die-hard fan bases in the NFL. Because when you talk about the bad times, it doesn't get any worse than those teams. Them and the Jets you could rope into that conversation. And maybe the Texans you could put in that conversation. But those teams are bottom of the barrel bad. Bad. And you haven't had a good year in a long time. A long time. So for the Lions to get a win, I'm happy for Lions fans. I'm really happy for them. I know they went crazy with the memes. Best day ever to see the Lions get a win. But to be honest with you, when they celebrated like they won the Super Bowl, it was relief, right? That's what everyone says the feeling of winning a Super Bowl is. It's relief. Like, we did it. We finally did it. That's what it was for them. We finally got the win. But to be honest about this Lions team, I don't think they're as bad as their 1-10-1 record would have you believe. Why do I say that? Because you talk about the games in which they've played. The 49ers game, or the first game of the year under a new head coach with a new quarterback, it came down to the wire. They were out of this game. They were down 31-10. They came back, made it 41-33 with a chance to get the ball back and score. They got the onside kick, and they weren't able to score a touchdown, but they had the opportunity to do so. The Ravens game, Justin Tucker broke an NFL record and kicked a 66-yard field goal to beat the Detroit Lions. The Vikings game, there was a last-second field goal to win. The Vikings made a last-second field goal to win. Vikings fans, I'm sorry, Blair Walsh and everything. The Steelers tie. They lose to the Browns, 13-10, with a backup quarterback. Against the Bears, there was a last-second field goal to win that game from Chicago. So they aren't as bad as it may seem with their record. And again, yes, you should win these games if you're a good team. But I think if you're a Lions fan, the hope you hold on to is this team is a couple of plays away from having 5 wins. Couple of plays away from having 5 to 6 wins. And that's the NFL, right? You're a couple of plays here or there. But a lot of the times when you talk about the Browns or the Lions, they're not in games at all. For the Lions, again, I'm not saying Dan Campbell is the next coming or anything for Detroit. What I'm saying is this team has shown some toughness. This team has shown the ability to be in games. And now it's about converting. It's about changing the mentality. It's about changing the culture and the atmosphere in that locker room. And Dan Campbell, to me, feels like the guy who can do that. The bite the kneecaps off on your way up. Or on your way down as well. Right? He said, we're going to bite the kneecaps on our way down and on our way up. So, if you're talking to me about what the Lions fan, this is a Lions color here. I wore it just for the Detroit Lions, all right? I'm just going to work with to rebuild this team. I think those days of being the absolute bottom of the barrel franchise, those days are numbered. Do I think you become a Super Bowl champ in the next 10 years? Maybe not. But I don't think you'll be at the bottom of the barrel much longer. So that's my sentiment to Lions fans. If you know a Lions fan, call them. It's like their birthday basically yesterday was. So if you know anyone from the Detroit area or who roots for the Lions, if you watch MMG, call them, tweet at them, do something, because this is like their birthday. You know, this is the equivalent to their Super Bowl because they finally got a win. Well, from a team that's usually very bad to a team that in recent years have been very, very good. The Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs get a win on Sunday Night Football against the Broncos. Offense didn't play great, but their defense is playing phenomenal football at the moment. I like this Chiefs team now better than I have all year. All year. Why? Because their defense is playing terrific football. In the last 5 games, their defense has held the other team to under 20 points. Under 20 points. Now, yes, they played the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. Right? They played the Giants in that equation. But outside of that, you talk about the Cowboys, the Broncos, a division opponent. So you always have to take into consideration a division opponent. You talk about those teams. This defense is picking up slack for the offense right now. And I like it because you finally have an identity defensively. You're finally starting to pick things up defensively, and it shows when you come playoff time, you have to win in multiple facets, right? That's why, again, like I said, offensively, you can't just win throwing the ball only, and you can't just win running the ball only. You have to have a good balance. No team's going to be 50-50 in any department, but 60-40, that's the range where teams usually win, where a team can run the ball at least effectively enough to set up the pass or pass the ball enough to set up the run. Right? So that's the team that wins. Right now, this defense is able to pick up the slack and play 60-40 on the defensive side rather than the offensive side. This team has usually been 70-30 offense. And to shift that to 60-40 defense right now makes a big difference. It's not like Kansas City is blowing teams out. Right? It's not like Kansas City is out here scoring 41 points every game and that's why the defenses look good. No, they're playing bad offense and the defense is picking up the slack. So why do I say I like this Kansas City Chiefs team better than I have the previous games or even last year or even the year before that? Because their offense has a simple fix. Their offense is trying to rediscover how to be dynamic and explosive and get back to what they used to be. I'm trying to sit here and say, don't go back to that. Don't go there. You don't want to be in that department. Back to where you were in 2018. Yeah, you scored a lot of points, but that's not going to work now. Why? Because teams figured that out. The Bucks gave them the blueprint. Okay, so then what do? Play offense. In the pocket. Hit Tyreek Hill. In the pocket. Hit Travis Kelce. Get the ball out quick into your playmaker's hands. Do things like that. Again, I was never someone who flocked around Patrick Mahomes' ability to throw a left-handed pass. I was like, okay, it's cool that he did it. I was like, that's a cool play. But okay, whatever. That's not a play that I say, oh, that's an MVP right there because he could throw a left-handed pass. No, it's a darn cool play, and not many other people can make it. But it's not that's the reason you're the best. Because you can make that throw, that's why you're the best quarterback in the league. No. I never flocked at his ability to run out of the pocket, scramble out, and just chuck it up in the air, 80 yards downfield, and someone comes down with the football. I said it's impressive that you can do that and make that throw, but it's not what makes you a championship player. The arm angles, it's great to have in certain situations. But I never said this is what makes Patrick Mahomes, is what's going to make Patrick Mahomes the greatest person ever, the greatest quarterback ever. No, what the Chiefs need to do to win is get back to simple offense. And that might seem boring. And we hate boring. We like flashy and new and wow, our phones can fold and we have this many cameras and we can do this and that. And sometimes boring is great, especially in football. Sometimes boring is fantastic. Honestly, boring is fantastic. What are the teams right now? Who's the hottest team in the league? The New England Patriots. They're not flashy in any state of the imagination. And I'm a Patriots fan. You can see they are not flashy in any state of the imagination. They are run the ball. We play defense and we create turnovers, but we're not flashy. We're not flashy. We're going to hit a 5-yard check down every other play. We're going to hand the ball off, but we are not flashy. The Miami Dolphins are winning games defensively, not turning the ball over, and just hitting the quick routes and running the ball. Same thing with the Washington football team. Heck, even Tampa, when they're playing their best, is, we can just tick, 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 hand the ball off, create drives. How about the Colts? They do the same thing. They're boring offensively, and they have a splash of excitement. That's what Kansas City should be. They should be boring for 75% of the game, and then have that wow play, that sprinkled. That's what it is for Kansas City, and I've been saying it forever. And people, I think, misconstrue what I'm saying is I'm not saying what they are doing is bad. I'm saying what they're doing is not sustainable, and teams have caught up with it. So this is the moment for Kansas City is, okay, where are we good? Where are we bad? And how do we adjust? This is how you adjust. Patrick Mahomes, I've said it for a long time, is best when he's in the pocket distributing. Not when he's rolling out, moving around and throwing it up in the air and it comes down with it. That's when it's most exciting for ESPN to post about him, but it's not when Kansas City are at their best. They're at their best when he's in the pocket and he's just distributing. Quick. And then you can have the one play where he goes over the top and bombs them. And that's why you can be so dynamic. And right now, what's working for Kansas City is their defense is allowing their offense to figure this out. I don't know why it's taken forever. I think it's a whole identity change offensively. But their defense is playing well enough for them to figure it out. And then once the Chiefs can figure this portion out, they have to figure this portion out of, we're not going to be a team that rolls out and throws it. And Mahomes has to figure out, I'm not going to be a guy who tries to do too many arm angles. Get back to the basics of the offense. And that's what we're going to run. Their defense is allowing time for them to do that. And if their offense can make it up, this Chiefs team can be something. But right now, I don't see them as a championship team. But if they can get back to the basics, you'll be fine. Talking about championship teams, this Monday Night Football game has one of the biggest impacts that we will see. That's what I said. That's why if you're watching the live stream, that's why one of the titles is biggest Monday Night Football game. This is one of the biggest ones you'll ever see out there. Because we look at the Buffalo Bills, they're taking on the New England Patriots. Now, why is this so huge? Why is this ginormous? Well, the New England Patriots right now are sitting at the top of the AFC and the AFC East at 8-4. The Buffalo Bills are sitting at 5th in the AFC and 2nd in the AFC East at 7-4. The Kansas City Chiefs are at 8-4. The Ravens are at 8-4, and the Titans are at 8-4. And right now the standings read: Patriots 1 at 8-4, the Titans 2 at 8-4, the Ravens 3 at 8-4, and the Chiefs 4 at 8-4. This is a big time game because if the Bills can win this game, not only do you jump New England, because this is your common game, you jump New England in terms of common opponents, and then in standings, New England will fall to 5, and the Buffalo Bills will jump to 2 or 3. But if the Patriots win this game, now Buffalo is in a scramble to have to win in New England, and the Patriots further themselves at number 1. This game has playoff implications. Now let's talk about the game in particular. What do I like about New England? It's going to be an awful day in Buffalo, as it most usually is. It's going to be an awful day in Buffalo. So what's good about an awful day in Buffalo? Well, an awful day in Buffalo means you run the ball. You play defense. You don't turn it over. What do the New England Patriots do the best? They run the ball. They play defense. And they don't turn it over. So that plays into their hands. While Buffalo is a team who likes to take shots, where Josh Allen's a guy who likes to take his chances. And that's where it could bode well for New England. On the other hand, the Buffalo Bills can run the football. They can play defense. And Josh Allen, if he can be smart, can be safe with the ball, but also be more dynamic than what I believe the Patriots offense can be. Now, the Bills have shown susceptibility to the running of the football. They've shown it. But Sean McDermott in the past couple weeks the teams have played better against the run. It's a matchup of strengths, really. It's strength against strength. And it's who's going to make that adjustment and which coach is going to be the guy to come on top. And I think it's mano a mano. This is a big time game. Maybe the two best teams in the AFC. I don't know. But I'm looking at this game, and I think it's going to be decided on one or two plays. And it's going to be with Buffalo has the football and New England on defense. And it's going to be Josh Allen. We know Josh Allen's going to take a shot to Stephon Diggs. And it's going to be J.C. Jackson in coverage. Or it's going to be Jalen Mills in a safety. Because that's how Belichick usually likes to play it. It's the result of those shots, to me, that's going to make the difference in the game. Because I think Buffalo is going to run the football well. I think New England's going to run the football well, and they'll be able to keep the game close. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. But I think it's going to be based off that one shot, or the one, the two, the three shots from Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs, or Josh Allen down the field, where he's kind of throwing into a tight window. Those plays, that's going to be the difference. I think there's going to be 3 or 4 moments in the game that are going to change. And it's going to be with Buffalo having the football and Josh Allen look to go deep down the field. And how do the Patriots secondary react? If Buffalo wins on 50% of those, Buffalo will win the football game. But if Buffalo does not win on 50% of them, New England will win the football game. Again, I expect a low-scoring affair. I expect it to be very close and determined off of either a big play down the field from Buffalo or a big-time interception by New England. It's in Buffalo. The weather kind of suits the Patriots style of play more. Give me Buffalo 20-13. I think they're going to execute those plays. I think they're going to make it happen. I think this is New England's first big test in a while. Yes, they are one of the hottest teams in the league, the hottest team in the league. But they've played against a lot of subpar teams. They played against the Titans with 13 people who signed that week, without the 3 best weapons on offense for them as well. The Falcons you don't think about. The Browns, it's a depleted Browns team. The Panthers you don't think about. The Chargers were the one win in this win streak that you look at and said that's a good win. The other one's against the Jets. Okay, it's the Jets. So this is the first time I think New England's really being tested in this streak. I think Mac Jones could face some adversity. I don't know how he's going to handle it. But again, I think Buffalo is just going to convert on those 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 big plays down the field. And if they convert on that, they win the football game. They can't turn the ball over. But I think if they convert just the 1 to 2 to 3, they'll be just fine. Give me Buffalo 20-13 to beat New England. All right, as we move out of the NFL, I just want to take this quick break and, again, thank y'all for those of you who are sticking in here and who have been with us for a while. I do appreciate you guys. I also do want to say for those of you listening on the Spotify, you can follow my Instagram at Aaman Patel Sports News. Spotify, you know you're already there, but for those listening on YouTube Live, Aaman Patel Sports News on Spotify. And then for those of you on Spotify who want to come here and do these lives with me, see these lives with me, Aaman Patel Sports News on YouTube as well. It's all there. Those are 3 socials. If you follow the Instagram, you get constant updates about everything. I also make videos. So if I make videos, you could always get that. We have a little bit of a camera delay here. I will go ahead and fix that for you, for those of you who are watching right now. But I just want to say thank you as we do that. Again, the camera is coming in and out right now at the current moment. So we are going to do just a quick little fix of that. But whilst we are still here, you can still hear my voice, which is all right now that you need to hear. Nothing going on right now in the video. Again, I am fixing the video as we speak. and we'll get into everything else in a little bit. The camera just wanted to have a little bit of fun with me. And again, this is the difficulty of running these YouTube lives is sometimes things just don't want to work. And when things don't want to work, it's not always the greatest thing ever. Again, the mic is still active, which I'm still very thankful and still very happy about that the mic is still active. But let's take a short 5-minute break. Not even 5 minutes. It'll be a little bit less than 5 minutes while I try to fix things up. Again, if you want to follow us at Aaman Patel Sports News on Instagram, you can also follow us on Spotify. I also do have a Facebook and Twitter. The Facebook is at Aaman Patel Sports News. The Twitter is at AP Sports News _. And then on YouTube, of course, you already know that one. That is at Aaman Patel Sports News on YouTube if you're watching here. So again, a lot of places you can go and follow, a lot of places where we are putting content and other such things. So if you are interested in any of those things, you could always come in and click and check out those certain content pieces and other things that we do. You can also contact me on any of those contact pieces as well, where we can go, and if you want to hear a topic or if you want me to make some videos or this or the other, we can do that. All you got to do is shoot me there a DM, or you can come in here on the YouTube lives, hit me up with the chat bar, chat feature. Again, for those of you just tuning in, I do apologize for the camera. The camera decided to not work with me right now, so I am just readjusting the camera, fixing it up, and we will be back in a short bit where you can see what me, and we can come back to what we have been talking about. Again, we're moving out of the NFL now. For those of you looking for NFL stuff, well, you're just a tad bit late, and it looks like one camera doesn't want to work, so I said, you know what, let's try the other camera, and we are getting that one to you in a little bit. Again, just give me one quick second. Again, you can see me, as Flight Reacts would say, top 10 editing on YouTube. For those of you who are Flight Reacts fans, always love me a good flight video. Flight Reacts is always someone who's always very fun and awesome to watch. Can you guys see that on YouTube Live? Can you see the camera now? Yes, it looks like you are able to see that, so that's great news. I know it's not what you want to be seeing in terms of it just looks a little bit funny right now. Again, I will go ahead and fix that for you. Just give me that one brief quick moment as we try to get everything fixed and back up to what we want it to be. Yeah, just give me one quick sec, guys. But let's talk about CFB. Since you can see me, I'm not going to stop talking about this stuff. And for those of you listening on Spotify, I do apologize for all of this, maybe interruption and something that you aren't necessarily looking at. But here we go. We jump into CFB. College football, because the playoff is there. Again, if you're watching YouTube Live, top 10 editing on YouTube, as Flight Reacts would say. Sorry for your ears right there. But again, we can jump into the college football playoff. And the college football playoff, what's big about this? Well, we have the college football playoff coming at us right now. And they announced the top 4 teams. Number 1 is Alabama. Number 2 is going to be Michigan. Number 3 is Georgia, and number 4 is Cincinnati. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, why is Cincinnati not ranked higher? You feel they are cheated out of a spot a little bit, and I can concur with that. I feel like they deserve something. I don't think that they've been much respect given to them or their program this entire time. I truly don't believe there's been much respect given to their program, and I think that's kind of embarrassing on the part of the committee, but we are here. All right, this is what we're going to have to deal with for right now. For those of you on the YouTube live stream, I do apologize once again for the camera work. My editing might not be top 10 in all of YouTube. Okay, so college football. Alabama number 1, Michigan number 2, Georgia number 3, and Cincinnati number 4. I've said for a long time, I think Alabama is the best team in the country. I think they have the best quarterback in the country. I've said it for a while. I thought not Spencer Rattler, but Bryce Young is that guy. I think he's always been that guy. And I said even last year, I told y'all, I thought he might have started over Mac Jones just because of how far along the process he is. I thought he is someone who's very mature in his game, and I thought it's something Nick Saban could really get behind as a head coach. So I was a little bit shocked when he did not see the field as a freshman, but Mac Jones obviously played well, so it did bode well for Alabama. But we talk about Bryce Young, we talk about Alabama. I think what Alabama does well is Obviously, they're a good defensive team, right? Obviously, we know that. We know they're a great defensive team because it's Alabama. But they haven't been the defense that they usually are. And statistically, they're still great, but they're not that defense right now. But their offense is playing at such a high level between John Mechie and the receivers and James Jameson and Bryce Young, their quarterback. Now, there is not going to be any John Mechie for the college football playoffs. Tore his ACL. But when we talk about this, again, I think the offense is still good enough. I think they still run the ball effectively enough. I still think Bryce Young is a terrific distributor of the rock and still can be very, very good without John Mechie, even though that's his number one receiver. I think he can be good with any quarterback, any receiver that's on the field. And I think their defense is good in spurts. I think their defense, again, it's not the great almighty Alabama defense that we're accustomed to, but I don't think it makes them a bad defense. I think it makes them a defense that's a little bit more susceptible. Fine. That's a fair critique to them, but they're very good in spurts. They're very good in the moments you need them to be. When they need a stop, they can get a stop. And that's what I think is the trademark of an Alabama defense. Maybe not be the greatest defense there ever been, but a defense that can get it done when they need to get it done. And I think that's what Alabama's defense does. I think Georgia was too reliant on the defense. That's why everyone was Georgia, love Georgia. Okay, Georgia's fine, but I think their defense was historically good, but I just didn't think that their offense was tested enough. I think they were too reliant on their defense, and I just didn't trust that offense to really get it done in situations where they'd have to. And I said, there's going to be times this year where you're going to have to play Alabama. And Alabama's going to put up points, right? If you have to go into the playoff. And I thought Ohio State could be in the playoff. I thought they're going to put up points. Michigan looks like a team that's going to put up points. You're going to have to beat those teams who can put up points against that historic defense. Can your offense come through? And to be honest, I wasn't sure if their offense could come through. And that's why I just never was really sold on the whole Georgia lineup. Michigan, they looked really good. I mean, they've looked good when they beat Ohio State in Ann Arbor. They can run the ball effectively. They're able to throw the ball very well as well. And I think their offense is good enough to play. Against a Georgia team, against a Cincinnati, against Alabama. They can run the ball effectively, and the Big Ten offensive lines are no joke. Even though it's an SEC D line, it's no joke to that Big Ten offensive line. They send a lot of offensive linemen out there. And for these reasons, I think Michigan is going to be Georgia. Michigan's defense is right up there with Georgia's as well. I don't think many people know that just because of how historic Georgia's been. But Michigan has been maybe the second best defense in all of the country. And I think their offense is far better and has played far better than Georgia's offense all year long. I think Michigan's going to upset Georgia. Even though Michigan is scheduled at number 2, I think when the Vegas betting odds come out, it's going to say that Michigan is the underdog, and I think they're going to shock a lot of people. I got Michigan to beat Georgia, and I have Bama to beat Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati matches up well. They run the ball real effectively, but can they do it against an SEC team? I think offensively, just through the air, they're going to be a problem for Cincinnati. I think we're going to have a Bama-Michigan final, kind of repeat of the 1999 Orange Bowl, if you will. I think Bama does get the win in that game. I think their defense, again, is good enough in spurts, and I think their offense is far better than Michigan's offense as well, and I think that'll be the difference. But, again, I think Michigan beats Georgia when it comes time for that college football playoff matchup, and I think Bama beats Cincy. All right, enough college football. It was a good college football session, but we're going to talk about cricket. If you're a fan, here we go. This is your time, cricket fans. India took on New Zealand in the second test in the series, and they absolutely dominated this test match. I mean, oh my goodness, from top to bottom, from start to finish, it was India. And I think this test shows a lot about the pitch and how it affects the test match, right? I think a lot of people just kind of look at it X and Y as, oh, well, this player didn't perform, and that's why they lost. Or this. The pitch, it's a big part of the reason India was able to win in the fashion in which they did. Again, remember, when it's almost the same and maybe even lesser of a side India is than when they were all out 36 against Australia in Australia. Right? So pitch, I think, matters. I think a lot of people forget about how the pitch conditions really play a factor and can really mess things up. And again, New Zealand just never had the forefront. They were without, of course, their captain Kane Williamson, and it just never felt like they got in any sort of a rhythm, not with the ball, not with the bat, and they were just kind of playing from a defensive standpoint the entirety of the match. And when you play with that defensive mindset pretty much the entirety of the match, you're not going to have the most success. India gets a win there. Mayank Agarwal was brilliant. He scored a lot of runs, and again, he was just classy. I think he showed why he was a guy who was opening and should be a consideration for a one-day opener if you want it to be. I think you also saw some class out of Shubman Gill. He came in the second innings, obviously hurt. He looked hurt when he was batting. He scored 47. Cheteshwar Pujara 47. So it was just a quick fire knock all the way through in the second innings. And with the ball, Jayant Yadav got some good turn off of the wicket. And when Jayant Yadav's getting some real turn, that's when the pitch is making something happen. So I think the pitch conditions show a lot. I think that you saw more about the pitch conditions more so than probably about the New Zealand side or an Indian side. Cricket in the United States, however, some big news this December, ain't it? It's already December. 2022 is almost upon us. We talked about Spotify Wrapped last time. My Spotify Wrapped is going to get shaken up because of the EP that Joshua Bassett just put out. If you haven't heard that, go check it out. That was fantastic. But December, why is that good for USA cricket? Well, Ireland's tour of the U.S. That's what I'm talking about. It is here. First match December 22nd. Tickets are on sale. Only $10. Only $10 to go see an international cricket matchup between the U.S. and an Ireland side. Those are on usacricket.org. Again, that's www.usacricket.org. For those of you who want to go buy tickets, it's down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm super excited. The last time I saw the U.S. play a non-exhibition match was back in 2018 during the T20 qualifiers when talking about live and in person. And I'm excited because this team has changed a lot since then. They look darn good down there in Antigua. They played real well. And I think for US, it's kind of a measuring stick for them because they cruised through the World Cup qualifier. But these are the teams now that you're going to have to play when you talk about the Irelands, the Scotlands, the Nambias. Those sides are the teams now that you're going to have to go out there and play to qualify for a World Cup. That's what you're playing at right now. And Ireland's play nations like England and India and company. So to get a chance to play against them, it gives you the opportunity to be a measuring stick, right? I kind of describe it, now for those of you who don't know, the 2001 New England Patriots team, they were talking about how they had to go and play the defending champion St. Louis Rams at the time. And they said this game's a measuring stick. It's, okay, we know they're supposed to be the best team in football. Assuming that time they were not the defending champs, they were 1 year removed from a Super Bowl win. They're supposed to be the best team in football. What can we be? Right? And they lost 24-17, but they said, we are right there. If this is the best team in football, it's just a couple of plays, and we are better than them. So I think for the U.S., it kind of proves to be something similar for them is, okay, we can be that good. We are right there. And this is what you get to see with Ireland is either we're right there, we just need to take one more step, we're better than them, or it's, okay, there's a lot of work need to be done to get from here to here. And that's going to be so much fun. I think that's going to be the greatest thing about it. It's a big learning opportunity for USA Cricket, I think from both a players and team standpoint to a setup standpoint. In the sense of, this is one of the first times USA Cricket is hosting a tour. Right? And the World Cup is coming, and this is an opportunity for you to really figure out what you want to do and how you want to evaluate. So I think it's a real exciting opportunity for USA Cricket from the top to the bottom to figure things out and how they compare and what they would do differently, because USA is already qualified for that in Australia to go and play that World Cup. And then when the World Cup comes here, now you have the opportunity to say, okay, we did this with Ireland. What can we do differently? If we get more tours before that 2024 World Cup, what can we continue to do? That's the beauty of this. I think so. Again, from top down for USA Cricket, it's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and see what needs to happen for you to be a real top-tier cricketing nation. All right, just want to give a little bit of a break, and I want to ask anyone out there if they have any requests or they want me to talk about certain thing or the other thing, or don't want me to talk about something, or whatever it is. I would feel free to go and put that in the chat box if you want to. Again, if not, I'm just going to go down the list that I have here. This is a pretty good list, so we still have some content to go. We're almost at 3 o'clock here. So, again, for those of you who stuck through and who are tuning in, I do appreciate you guys very, very much. For those of you who are listening on Spotify, you can follow me for these YouTube lives on YouTube. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel Aaman Patel Sports News. And for everyone who's listening, whether it's on Spotify or watching on the YouTube Live, you can go to Aaman Patel Sports News on Instagram to go get constant updates about these podcasts. Also, to see some more content and content exclusively on Instagram. You can also go to Facebook at Aaman Patel Sports News, on Twitter at AP Sports News _ as well. If you wanted to go follow all those platforms, again, you'll just get content for all of those different platforms, which would be a lot of fun. Make some cool videos on there as well, and there will definitely be more coming as we see the sports world continue to pick up. Okay, now we jump into the NBA. I want to talk about the NBA because there's this report that came out. There's not a game that I want to talk about specifically. When I predicted the Suns to lose to the Golden State Warriors, they ended up losing. But what I really am looking at here is the report that came out that Damian Lillard wants to play with Ben Simmons. There was a trade that was offered from Portland to Philly in the offseason. And the trade was almost pushed through, but Philly kept asking for more and more and more, and Portland said no. The trade did include CJ McCollum. That was the only thing that was released about it. This is a perfect fit. I think this trade works for both sides. Now, does it mean both sides are in the NBA Finals? Maybe not, but it makes both sides better. It gets their chances to get there higher. Here's how. This move for the Portland Trailblazers will dramatically help them defense. That's where they've struggled. Defense has been an issue. It's been a real issue for them, and the consistent defense has been an issue for them. You get Ben Simmons. He's still one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA. Can guard from 1 to 4, anyone you want to have. He can be almost what Klay Thompson is to Steph Curry, defensively at least, taking the guard. He can also go and take the small forward. Whoever the best player is, you feel Ben Simmons can go and guard him. He gives you a lot of production around the rim. Damian Lillard can stay out on the perimeter. And for Ben Simmons, who needs a change of scenery and who's not going to live by the perimeter, can live on the block, can live out on 18 feet, hit 15-foot jumpers, and then drive in from there and be a facilitator inside the paint. Again, Ben Simmons needs a change of scenery. Philly's just not doing it for him anymore. He needs a change of scenery. And for me, I think the best place for him to find that change of scenery is in Portland. I think that would be a great opportunity to play with Damian Lillard and then play for this franchise who needs a title, who is really a franchise that's, who just takes everything that they can get because they don't get a lot of. Now for the 76ers, this guy he's bad. He's a parasite. He's not good for your locker room, for your culture, and you need to get him out of there. Right? He obviously doesn't want to play. He's only showing up so he doesn't lose money. So you want to get him out of there. And now you add CJ McCollum. So now you can run CJ McCollum, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. You talk about floor spacing, that's an issue for them. That's floor spacing. And you can have Seth or CJ bring up the ball. Joel Embiid can play as a genuine 7-footer, and Tobias Harris has all the room in the mid-range to work. The floor opens up, everything looks a little bit better for him. That's a move I think they should be thinking about because, again, the floor opens up. And now, if they want to go big, if they want to play Andre Drummond, and they want to play Joel Embiid, and they want to play Tobias Harris, you can play Danny Green and Seth, or Danny Green and CJ, or CJ and Seth, and have those 3 big guys on the floor that you have to match, and the 2 guys who can space it out and shoot from the perimeter and facilitate. It gives you a lot more flexibility. And it's not just going to be CJ including in that trade, right? There's going to be other pieces included in the trade from the Portland perspective. But I think with the 76ers, you get out a bad culture guy. You bring in someone who can give you some versatility in terms of the 3-point shooting, gives you some flexibility on your rotation. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that trade can make a lot of sense. And I thought Portland would have been a great option for Ben Simmons to get to. And I thought CJ was a great option for Philly to get in the offseason. And even now, I still hold firm that would be a great decision because it helps something that they're both lacking in and is beneficial for both sides. And not a lot of trades are usually beneficial for both sides. Okay, it is officially now 3 o'clock. And when I talk about a healthy list, that's probably the list right there. That's the list that we're talking about. So I'm opening the floor up to anybody who wants to. Again, if you want to drop a comment, if you want to me to talk about something or the other, or I do have one more that I can come into if we want to do that. We have plenty of options that we want to run into. All right, we got something. We got Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley rematch. Now originally it was supposed to be Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, but it's going to be Jake Paul Tyron Woodley rematch. Fury had an injury, and it was a broke rib. He had a broken rib and a chest infection, so he couldn't fight. He wants to. I think Fury would knock out Jake Paul, but now he's going to take on Tyron Woodley in a rematch. Remember, Woodley lost, and Woodley I think lost because he had that MMA style of one hit and he just kind of walked off. Versus more so of just finishing the job and keep pounding, and it was different. It was different for Tyron Woodley because he's an MMA guy, right? And as an MMA guy, even though you're a pure striker, it's still difficult because of the fact that you're used to having more the body. You have more of the body to hit. You can kick. You can do different things, and you can slow your opponent down. This is it's fist to fist, hand to hand combat, and I don't know who's gonna win, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm a Jake Paul fan, but I will tell you this: I think Jake Paul has been a great thing for boxing. Whether you want to admit it or not, boxing was a dying sport. I didn't care about boxing. I'm sure if you have kids at home, they didn't care about boxing. But then Jake Paul started boxing, and I don't care about Jake Paul, but he creates intrigue. This is a YouTuber, and it's a YouTuber who plays the heel. He plays the bad guy. So you want to tune into these fights to see him get knocked out. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I want to see him get knocked out. And then you're thinking about it. This is the ploy. This is what's good for boxing. Because you're tuning, even though you want to see Jake Paul get knocked out, you're going to keep tuning into Jake Paul fights to see him get knocked out. And even after, if he gets knocked out of this one and he continues fighting, you're going to want to see him get knocked out again. So you keep tuning in. Again, the old heads in boxing, the keepers of the keys, might tell you this is not good for the sport, it's bad. And maybe from a technical standpoint in terms of, pure boxing, it might be bad. But from a viewership and a sales and a money supply standpoint, this is a big deal. Because, to be honest, MMA now is more popular than boxing is. It's what it is. Boxing used to be that sport in the heyday, right? You talk about all these, news sports anchors now and the sportscasters, the Colin Cowherds, the Max Kellermans. They covered a lot of boxing early in their career. That's not really a thing to cover boxing because it's not that big of a brand. MMA is a huge brand. And that's why MMA now is more popular than what boxing is. And this YouTube boxing thing that was started with, the KSI and the Logan, and there was a fight before that as well. But the KSI Logan Paul fight, probably one of the bigger fights. And that kind of branched out to Logan Paul fighting, and Jake Paul wanted to be a full-time boxer, and Logan Paul taking on Floyd. Like, Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather. He fought Floyd Mayweather, and now it's like this YouTube kid's fighting Floyd Mayweather. This Jake Paul kid who I think a lot of people think is annoying, and just they want to see him get knocked out. And even if that's your perspective, you tune in to see him get knocked out. You're still tuning in, and that's still money for boxing. So to everyone who says, "Oh, this is bad for the sport," when you talk about maybe technique and the old ways of boxing and the purity of boxing, maybe it is. I can't argue with you. I don't know boxing enough to agree or disagree on that point. But when you talk about a sales perspective, an interest perspective, when you talk about these different things that come about, again, sales, interest, viewership. This fight, this Jake Paul era stuff, is big for boxing. It's great for boxing. And again, you can talk about the fact that, well, this is just sad if this is what boxing's come to. Maybe it is sad. Maybe it is. But right now, the best thing for boxing is Jake Paul. I'm not sure the best thing for Jake Paul is boxing. But the best thing for boxing is Jake Paul. Jake Paul's going to keep making money off boxing. And boxing is going to keep making money off Jake Paul. And that's the fact of the matter. And if you don't like it, well, tough luck. It's not going to matter. Because Jake Paul right now is the most interesting boxer out there. Honestly, and you might think, oh, what is this kid talking about? For non-boxing fans, I don't think we can name 5 current boxers. I can name Floyd and Manny Pacquiao and Muhammad Ali, and even then, not all of them are still fighting. None of them are still fighting in terms of like pro matches. You're saying here, what the heck? Right, so it's not easy to keep naming boxers. Boxing hasn't been sold as a brand. Right, at least in MMA, I don't know that many MMA fighters, but it's a big brand. I know the Conor McGregors, I know the Khabibs, right? I knew the Tyron Woodleys of the world. It's a big time brand. Boxing has lost its pizzazz. And whether you like it or not, Jake Paul has brought back that pizzazz. And maybe it's you want him to get knocked out. Maybe it's that. But no matter what it is, you can't deny that he has been huge for the game of boxing, for boxing. You can't deny that he's been huge for boxing. Because if you deny Jake Paul's been huge for boxing, you don't know what you're talking about. Because Jake Paul, again, is the most intriguing figure in boxing. And right now, again, for all the heads might hate it, for all the hate it, he's the most notable name in boxing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to open up the floor to anyone who wants a topic. That's my spiel for the day, for these couple hours. We had 1 hour of coverage. I apologize for the ball that's coming everywhere. But again, for those of you listening on Spotify, you can catch these podcasts live on YouTube Live at Aaman Patel Sports News YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Aaman Patel Sports News. Those are for the YouTube Livers and the people who are listening on Spotify. For those of you listening on YouTube Live, you want to catch podcasts on the go, and sometimes you can't tune into the live and you want to catch it on the go, you can always tune in to the Spotify. That's at Aaman Patel Sports News. And it's really anywhere that podcasts are found, you can go and check it out. Whether it's Apple Podcasts or whatever it may be, you can go and find these podcast episodes. So, again, I want to say thank you so much for those of you who are tuned in, for those of you who are listening to this. For those of you who have been tuning in, I do apologize. I know the camera kind of got funky, and now we're using another camera that I have set up. So, again, thank you for working with me. I know it doesn't look as clean as I would like it to, but again, thank you so much for working with me. I know I was late today as well, so y'all have really been putting in the work for me, so I do appreciate you guys more than you know. Again, this is not possible without any one of you guys, and I couldn't imagine and ask for a better group of people who listen and who follow me. And we were up 26% in listeners. I'm not sure if many of you know that. If you don't follow me on the Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, you might not know that. But we're up 26% in listeners on the podcast, which is super cool. So, again, that's just a tribute to you guys and a thank you to you guys. A big thank you as well, warranted. I wouldn't be doing this without you guys, and I wouldn't be where I am without you guys. So, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning on to the podcast. Share it with a friend. Share it with one of your family members or something like that. We could use some more sports fans and some more people on AAPS and live. Again, I want to thank you guys so much. And until next time, I'm Aaman Patel of Aaman Patel Sports News. All sports, all news.